You're listening to The Moose and the Loose, your 10 minutes action-packed financial podcast with your host, Mikey Hu. Hey, what is up, Market Moose? Mike from The Moose on the Loose. Happy Monday. Seriously, it feels really good to be back. This week, we're going to have like a full week of The Moose. I hope that you have done some of your Christmas shopping already. I did something very cool this year. Before we start the whole thing, I just want to highlight that because that touched me big time. There was a organization that was looking for donations to buy gifts to children that where parents could not afford to buy gifts for Christmas, and I thought it was an amazing idea. Look, what they did is that they usually support parents offering school materials like backpack and pencils and papers and so on, and then they supply those same parents with winter clothing because in Quebec it sucks to be in winter, and then they surveyed those parents and then said, well, are you able to afford a small gift to your children? And a lot of them said no. So anyways, long story short, I was able to buy a bunch of those gift certificate for those people, and I was super happy to give to someone else. So yes, it's not just about giving to your loved ones and spending time with your friends and family, but also if you could do a small action like this, whatever the amount is, just helping out other people, I think it's just a great move. So all right, that was my editorial of the day. Anyways, that's my podcast, right? I do whatever I want with it. Just wanted to highlight that because it was important for me. So the question today, should I sell Telus? I get that question a lot these days. It's the end of the year, tax are vesting, so you could sell right now, cash your capital loss, use it against a capital gain, and then move on, or buy back Telus in the new year. Maybe it's a good idea, maybe it's not. But actually, it's not the right question. So yes, tomorrow I will talk about Telus, but today I want to talk about the real question you should be asking yourself. Because right now you're looking at your portfolio, you look at your losers or your bad performers. Telus is probably part of it. And I'm raising my hand right now because I do have Telus in my portfolio as well. And I'm not a happy investor this year for sure. It's been 3 years that Telus is not good on the market, while the market is going up like there's no tomorrow. So of course I'm not happy. But that's not the right question. The right question is not, should I sell Telus because it sucks today? Because when you do that, you just based your decision on short-term performance. And it's super easy to say that, of course, we should have not bought Telus last year or 2 years ago or 3 years ago because it is not great. But now we know this today. We didn't know that 3 years ago. It's the same thing as if you add Broadcom in your portfolio. They reported their earnings last week, and I've been quite vocal about Broadcom, not on this podcast because it's focused on Canadian stocks, but at Dividend Stocks Rock, I've been talking about Broadcom since 2017 or 16. Anyways, it's been 6-7 years that I'm talking about this company. So of course my members know about it. Well, it was up 20% on earnings day. Are you a genius because of that? Of course you're not. I mean, that's just the way market happens over a very short period of time. You cannot give a value to your investment or to your investor skills based on recent performance. So instead of looking back, what you need to do is you need a process. You need a process to determine if you should really sell or not Telus or any other stock in your portfolio. And asking that question to others is not the right way to do it, because it's like if I would just call up a doctor that doesn't know me and say, hey, doctor, should I take that pill or this drug to help me out for something? And that person doesn't know me, doesn't know my background, doesn't know my health issues, doesn't know where I'm going with this, doesn't know if I'm thinking any other thing. So if that doctor gives me an advice, that would be a bad one, and because he doesn't know anything. So again, you have to get back to your process and your investment strategy. And of course, you're going to still make mistakes. Like today, what I'm going to share is not a way to avoid all mistakes, but it's a way to avoid getting stuck paralysis by analysis. So instead of like wondering for ages if you should sell Telus or not, just go back to the basics. What is your investment strategy? Like, what is important in your portfolio? Is it income? Is it growth? Is it momentum? Is it penny stocks? How do you invest? Do you have like a laid out investment strategy? That's the first thing. Super important to know exactly what you want in your portfolio as a whole. For example, on my side, I am a dividend growth investor. I select companies that are increasing their dividend every single year. Second step, what is your favorite metrics? Like, which metrics do you follow all the time? Which metrics will determine if you want to buy this stock or not? Again, good example for me, it's the dividend triangle. So I heavily focus on the relation between the revenue growth, the earnings per share growth, and the dividend growth. So in an ideal world, I would like to have a business that is able to grow its sales constantly, making more profit constantly, and of course, increasing its dividend constantly. That's what I would call a perfect dividend triangle. Everything growing pretty much at the same pace. So it gives me a sense that it is highly sustainable. What is the role of this stock that plays in your portfolio? So what's the role? Like, why do you have Telus in your portfolio? Do you have Telus because it is a very stable telco that pays a high yield? Do you have Telus because you love its diversification and you think that it has a great balance between growth and income? Or do you think that Telus is going to be the next big tech stock because they're developing a lot of things on the side and they will use their telco business just to fuel that growth, and it's more like a growth play? And I'm not telling you that Telus is all of that. I'm just giving you example of what do you think Telus could be in your portfolio. So again, it's personal to each one of you. You're making your own team. When you're building a portfolio, you're making your championship team to reach the ultimate goal and win the retirement cup, right? That's pretty much how it works. So you need offense, you need defense, you need a good goaltender, you need like a good like players that can complement each other. So you don't want to have like just right wingers. You just don't want to have like big guys that are slow. You want to have a whole, like that's your portfolio that will help you win the retirement cup. So when you hired Telus in your portfolio, which kind of role you wanted to play in it? Then it comes down to what's your investment thesis in the first place. So why did you buy Telus in the first place? What are the reason? What is the story you tell yourself or you tell your friends? Like, hey, I bought Telus because I think it's an amazing business because of this, and that. If you're not able to do this, well, then you have to go back to do your homework, because this will tell you if you should buy or sell Telus today. Because then you will look at your investment thesis, the role the company plays, and the metrics that you follow, and you're going to ask yourself that big question. Is it still relevant? Like, do I see the important metrics that I follow? Are they positive for Telus? What's the role it plays? Like the story I tell myself, is it all real today or it's not? And then you will back this with numbers. So it's important to have a good story around a stock, but then it's important also to back it with numbers. And tomorrow we'll do the same time for the same frame work, same process, but I will talk about Telus and give you my thought of it because it's in my portfolio. But again, as I did not sell a single share of Apple when I heard that Warren Buffett was unloading its boat of Apple, I'm not going to tell you that you should follow my lead. I am telling you, you need a process so you can understand how you make decisions in a better way and also in a clearer way. Because once you made a decision, maybe it's going to be right, maybe it's going to be wrong. You're going to know that only in 10 years from now anyway. So instead of debating for 10 years, you take the decision, you're happy with your decision because you have a process and you follow your rules, and then you move on. This is how simple it could be instead of just battling day over day if you should keep the stock or not. So the process in a nutshell: You need to know what is your investment strategy. Then which kind of metrics are really important for you to match that investment strategy. Then you need to attribute a role to each of the stock in your portfolio. They play as a team, they need a role. Then you need to know what is the investment thesis behind each of your holdings. So what's the story? And then you have to ask yourself, today, is the story still relevant? And to know that, you will back the story that you tell yourself with numbers. If you're telling me that this company is growing constantly, and then you look at the numbers and they're not growing, then the story you tell yourself is not the right one, and therefore it's not relevant, and maybe it's time to sell. So tomorrow we're going to do this process with Telus, and we're going to find out what's going to happen with Telus in my portfolio. All right, Moose, that's enough for today. I hope that you will have a wonderful day, and we're going to talk again tomorrow. Until then, don't forget to stay invested.
Hey, welcome to the disclaimer. If you're listening to The Moose and the Loose, you cannot really expect me to give you buy or sell recommendation or financial advice, right? You're here for fun, you're here for information and some entertainment. But I am not your financial advisor, I am not your broker, so therefore I'm not liable if you're losing money after listening to the podcast. If you're looking for some advice, go see a professional. If not, you can enjoy the show and do your due diligence after it.